Tell me, how many of you have looked at the starry night sky and thought to themselves, isn't that beautiful? Isn't that amazing? How many of you? I want the hands raised, please. Oh my God, pretty much everyone, right? So I'm here to tell a story of a little girl and to draw parallels from her life, who also, just like all of you, looked at the starry night sky and was super fascinated by those glittering stars, thinking, how can she possibly touch those stars? Well, according to her, there was only one way, which was to fly an airplane. How easy is that, right? Well, the only issue was, she was a girl growing up in an era when the girls were expected to get married, have children, look after their families, which, according to me, is a really, really arduous task. But yes, not fly for sure. But there she was, an 8-year-old girl with those dreams, big dreams in her eyes, which she just could not let go of. And all those adversities, the mountains, which stood in front of her. My name is Zoya Agarwal. I am the commander on Boeing 777s with a national flag carrier. I also represent the UN Women as the spokesperson for generation equality. I am a student, a learner, a woman in business, a social activist, and most importantly, I am a passionate dreamer who thinks of dreaming big and dreaming bigger. Because when we realize our dreams, we all have the power to change the world for the better. So let's start with a story. I would like to talk to you about this concept in aviation, which is called crosswinds. How many of you all are familiar with that? So crosswinds can be, well, different direction. It could be maybe at 45 degrees angle. It could be at a 90-degree perpendicular angle. But it changes your landing technique or takeoff technique slightly, right? It changes it because it makes it more challenging. It puts a certain amount of skill, which as pilots, we all are trained for. And we know how to tackle the challenges of a crosswind by putting in hard work of training and practice. But eventually, we all get that skill to be able to land or take off the airplane safely, right? But this crosswind doesn't just exist in aviation. It also exists in our lives. There are beautiful lessons which we can take away from. For example, these crosswinds are like adversities in life, right? We can possibly just kneel down in front of our adversities, or we can use that as an advantage to take those crosswinds and turn it into a wind, which makes us take off and be that indomitable power, a power which can change the world, right? So we had this situation back in August of 2021 when Afghanistan airspace got shut suddenly, overnight. It increased the flight time by an hour almost, and of course the fuel consumption as well. What did we do? In my airline, we always endeavor to get our passengers to their destinations as soon as we can, and also taking care of the environment. The climate change is posing such a big threat to our atmosphere every single day. We want to lessen that by giving our little contributions. So we all worked together as a team to find out a flight path where we devised to fly over the mighty Hindu Kush area and the beautiful high Tirachmir, which is the highest mountain outside the Himalayan Karakoram region, 25,000 feet tall above the mean sea level. I happened to be amongst the pioneering team which flew over that route. What was so special about that route? Well, we saved almost 1 hour of flight time, and almost like 8 tons of fuel per flight on the Boeing 777s. And that was amazing, right? So even when adversities hit you, you take it in your stride, but you mold it in a way that makes this world a better place. Again, last year, if you all remember, we also flew over the North Pole. Across the world, it put India on the world map in terms of women empowerment. And that was a super special flight. Now, why was it special? It was special because, well, it flew over the North Pole. It was one of the world's longest flights. It was the longest flight for any Indian carrier. And it was flown, guess what, by an all-women crew, all-women team. Isn't that amazing? Thank you. And I am privileged, honored, humbled, and proud at the same time that I was the one who commandeered that flight, which put our airline, India, on a global map towards women empowerment. And I am so proud of that, to command that flight. That, again, it's an adversity where you're battling the longest 2 antipodes, where you're consuming so much of fuel, and it's the longest flight. But devising a route like over the North Pole, you're saving so much of fuel, resources, also contributing to reduction of the carbon emissions, which is the need of the day for all of us, every single one of us. And that is how you take the crosswinds and turn it around and favor every single aspect everywhere, right? I have often wondered, why is it that women are the ones battling the stereotypes of facing to overcome and break the glass ceilings, right? But I guess these glass ceilings are called glass ceilings because they're meant to be broken. Because they are glass, and since they are transparent, you can see beyond them where there are stars and the galaxies which call all of us, invite us to come and shatter them so that we all can be in a place in the space amongst the glittering stars, right? And when you do such challenging flights, you realize that being a woman is just in your mind the limit that the society places on you when a woman is growing up, when a little girl is growing up in our society, in our world. The world tells us that you are a woman. You have a certain role to play. But why should we have our girls who grow up like that? We should raise our girls to be the future change makers, path breakers of this world. And that is what I want each and every one of you to think that way. You are the future leader, the one who is going to change this world for the better. So always reach out for the stars. Often we end up limiting ourselves, you know. We think that we can only go so far, only climb so much of the mountains. But you know what? Somebody told me, when you take tiny steps, small leaps, eventually it all ends up to become one amazing story, right? It's just those little tiny leaps require our courage. And that courage you have to derive from your own self. Because the only person who's limiting you is yourself. You are the only one who can say, no, I cannot do it. Always remember, whenever you hear a no from anyone, right? It is always the next 1 million opportunities for that no to turn into a yes. No is never a no. So go ahead, do not be afraid. Even if you hear a no, keep on going and pushing in the direction of your dreams and your goals. Eventually, you stay focused, you will get to the flight path of your dreams, wherever you want to go. These are the winds of change. Whatever you want, you can achieve, so long as you dream and you envision it. So coming back to the crosswinds, sometimes the crosswinds, well, are challenging. What do? Do you give up? Do you? You harden yourself with even more resilience and bounce back harder to fight against those crosswinds, to rise to even greater heights. Because guess what? There is no word like impossible. Just read it the other way around. It's always, I am possible. Never, ever let anyone discourage you from your dream, from your end goal. Only you have the power to say no or to limit yourself. I want every single one of you to remember that. Will you? You know, being the world's youngest commander on the Boeing 777, to flying over the North Pole, the first one to cross over the North Pole with an all-women crew flight, to flying over the Hindu Kush mountains, being the first team member amongst them to do so, to being the UN spokesperson for UN Women, representing generation equality, or eventually to land up in the San Francisco Aviation Louis A. Turpin prestigious museum. I have often wondered, why is it that all these things keep on happening to me? You know, somebody who's fallen ill on my flight, I'm so happy that we've saved them. But why is it that these multitude of events have happened to me? And I've never really quite gotten the right answer. But my father used to always say, Zoya, you may only have the plan, but God has the master plan. Always remember that. You can only think so far. But today, as I look back, that 8-year-old Zoya, who didn't know how she's going to even learn English. She didn't know English. She didn't know where to get the resources or the courage to fight against society, to go against, what her parents wanted to do. She had no idea. But today, she would be proud of the fact that she is able to inspire millions and billions of youth, young girls and women out there across the world by the virtue of her journey and her perseverance. All that she had was her dreams. And one sentence she would say that her inner voice would always tell her, I am possible. And today, she is in a position where she can tell her story to the world, and they can take away from that if she can do it, so can I. And that's what I want every single one of you to remember. If that 8-year-old Zoya can do whatever she dreamt of, you can follow your dreams as well. So long as you dream, continue on dreaming, working hard towards it. Make sure you're focused, you dedicate all your energy, hard work towards your dreams tirelessly, with passion. And I promise you, every no will turn into a yes. And you will fly the flight of your dreams. So coming back, sometimes those same crosswinds can be really, really nasty, right? They can be gale force or really gusty winds where you're not able to land the airplane. What do? Well, you take a step back. You can land on another runway, right? And you can possibly re-strategize and think of another way to do things. But you can still do it, so long as you don't give up. So please, we all have to make this world a better place by coming in together, by following the flight path of our dreams. Because when we follow our dreams, that's when we succeed and this world becomes a better and a more inclusive place for our future generations to thrive in. Life is like, well, flying a plane, right? You have crosswinds, you have adversities. It's all about tackling and maneuvering, negotiating through those adversities effectively. so long as you can turn those adversities into your strengths and you can continue to dream bigger and help those same very winds to help you to take off and fly the flight of your dreams. Thank you. Namaskar. Jai Hind.